Welcome to Real Estate Coaching Radio, starring award-winning real estate coaches and #1 international best-selling authors, Tim and Julie Harris. Real Estate Coaching Radio is the nation's #1 daily radio show for realtors who demand authentic, real-time coaching. Get ready for fluff-free, unfiltered, full-strength honesty about what's truly working to get you into action, helping others, and making money now in today's real estate market. Now to our hosts, Tim and Julie Harris.
It happens to everyone, and you might be experiencing this right now. You're having an unexpected string of bad financial things, deals closing, not closing, buyers flaking, listings not selling. Maybe you have some sellers deciding to take their houses off the market. So you're in a financial crisis. This happens to everyone from time to time, and it is preventable. Today we're going to be talking about a specific survival plan that you can have in place at all times. Before Julie gets to her notes, I'm going to share with you a couple thoughts. And this is really important that you remember this, because this is going to save you from a lot of the hardship that unfortunately a lot of people occasionally experience. And it doesn't matter whether you're an individual practitioner with just you and your dog and you're out there schlepping houses, or if you're a big team. Everybody experiences occasional blips in their financial planning, but it can't be prevented completely, but it can be mitigated almost 100%. And here's what you have to remember. Number one, what you do today in life, but specifically since Julie and I are your real estate business coaches, what you do today in your business benefits you not in 30 days or 2 days. It benefits you, generally speaking, in a market like this where we're in phase 2 of that real estate reset, which means things take longer to close. It'll benefit you in about 90 to 120 days. So when you make a contact with a prospective seller, again, especially this time of year, there's going to be a protracted process from when that person becomes a nice conversation of, I'm going to sell my house, would you like to come over for an interview, to actually getting paid. Why protracted? Because the time of year, fourth quarter, that type of thing, always gives people excuses to put their houses, make their listings active in the spring versus now kind of thing. So that's normal. But that's even going to be truer next year, because there's going to be a lot of consternation in the marketplace because of the reset that's going on, because people's fear about property values and buyers, buying too high. And again, the interest rates, we saw the effect the interest rates had on the stock market. Stock market dropped 1,000 points because of fears of the interest rates. Interest rates and mortgages for the first time in 10 years are now over 5%, and that's going to be the new normal going into next year. Marginal buyers in all price ranges are going to be paying attention to that. Payment-sensitive folks, which is just about everyone. So we're in a cycle that is predictable, that is expected, but it's going to result in longer times between contact and paycheck, and that's what you have to remember. So if you're not prepared, or if you're experiencing hardship now, it's because 90 days from now, or 90 days ago, or 120 days ago, you weren't, point number 2, doing what you didn't want to do when you didn't want to do it at the highest level. Those of you who listen to us every single day, this is the #1 listened to daily podcast for real estate folks. And yes, I know we have a lot of business owners as well, and thank you for finding us. But if you're not doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do it at the highest level, you're not necessarily going to feel the pain of that tomorrow, but you're going to feel the pain of it, as we just shared with you, in 3 to 4 months. And there's the reality of it. So you need to drill down, and this is what today's call is going to be about. Today's show is about the drill down aspects of what you should be doing. You need to be drilling down every single day and making sure you're mastering 3 to 5 things every single day. So Julie's taking a lot of time to put this 90-day survival plan in place, and it is literally a plan that all of you should be implementing, and it'll keep you on the right track. This, by the way, here's a little advanced coaching for all of you, isn't something to just use when you're experiencing financial hardships. The smart amongst you will use this as your business plan, as in what you should be doing every single day. You'll use what Julie's about to present to you as your literal roadmap that you should be following day in, day out, month in, month out. So before she gets to point number 1, I want to remind all of you, and I know that a lot of you are doing this during the podcast, which is fine. Go to freecoachingcallsforagents.com. An interesting statistic is 83% of you are listening to us on your mobile device, which tells me that you're also going to freecoachingcallsforagents.com while you're listening to the show, which is great. Notice that we do have a new feature on that site, which I'm really excited about. It's taken us a while to implement this, where you can direct connect to a coach. So normally you'd had to have scheduled, it had been a couple days out, and the coach's schedule and yours had to sync up, and if it didn't, it didn't, and then you had to remember to come to the coaching call. And there's a lot of places along the way where you could have been lost. Well, it doesn't work that way now. Now, yes, you can still schedule into the future if you wanted to not have a call today, but you wanted to have it later today or tomorrow. That's fine, but really the way it's designed is so that you can connect right away and speak with one of our new member coaches. And when you do, after your coaching call, we're going to give you those 6 free books, including the Real Estate Treasure Map, which is your fill-in-the-blank business plan. So please do not delay on that. We don't have an unlimited amount of coaches or number of coaches or number of available spots per day, so it's always first come, first served. So go to freecoachingcallsforagents.com. This time of year, if I were personally coaching you, and any of our coaches, we're personally coaching you. We have 30, Julie. What I would tell you is I would tell you to get your real estate treasure map completed, because that is going to make it so that you feel confident knowing you have a plan going into next year. Don't wait until next year to do your business plan. So it's real estate treasure map, and you get that among 5 other books as well, lead generation book. A great book to read in fourth quarter. Julie and I read this every year. Is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. It's less woo-woo than the title, in case you've never read that book, which it shocks me that some of you haven't. But this is Think and Grow Rich for real estate. We've added a lot of real estate content to it, stories and whatnot. So go and download that book. You get it for free after you have had your coaching call with one of our new member coaches. On the coaching call, they're going to help you put together your lead generation wheel and answer any questions that you have about our coaching programs. All right, Julie, so jump right in, my dear.
Yes, you got it. So, again, when to use a survival plan, Tim, and to your point, yes, brokers and agents, you should print this off, maybe put it in a nice laminated format so that it doesn't get lost or ruined, maybe even post it on your wall, but keep it on hand, because there's many times you may want to use this. When you're having a temporary cash flow issue, doesn't matter really what the reason is, there's many reasons. When you're struggling and have just run out of reserves, some of you are even smarter than that, and you say, you know what, this is ridiculous. I am not going to dip into my savings. I am going to do the survival plan instead. I'm not going to blow through my cash reserve. I'm just going to get to work. Sometimes you implement the survival plan when you simply have nothing pending. That could be coming off the back side of a really huge month where you spent all your time keeping all of your deals together, not very much time doing new transactions or converting anything new, and now even though last month was a killer month, this month you got no pendings, so what used to be a really great income month has become an okay 60 days worth of income, and now you're in danger of that being a quarter worth of income, which is even less exciting. So when you are listless means you have 0 listings. When you're recovering from a big financial hit, when you have extra bills you hadn't planned for, when you just lost some deals that you were previously counting on for income, when you're in rebuilding mode for whatever reason. We've got a lot of listeners that have family in Europe, or they go back, they spend summer outside of the real estate business and they need to get back and get to work. Lots of different reasons for this. So the secret is that this is not just for new agents. Even top producers and seasoned veterans do use the survival plan from time to time, mainly because it works. The aim of this plan is to help you to become a strong enough business person and real estate agent that you don't have to use the survival plan very often, and perhaps will never use it once you've taken the action and implemented the training, because this does rebuild your habits. And Tim, you mentioned earlier, by the way, this survival plan can be your actual business plan long term, because curiously, the things that get you into action are the same things that can keep you there. Just wanted to plant that seed. But as a temporary thing, so here's the plan rules. Point number 1, when you follow the plan, it can be a 30 to 90-day all-out survival plan. It doesn't have to be the rest of your life. Maybe when you turn the burners on high enough, it's just going to jumpstart you right back into that momentum. So that's fine. But again, it can also be a long-term plan. Point number 2, do not pick and choose what you're going to implement. You've got to do all of it. Point number 3 for our rules, do not try to reinvent the wheel. Just do the work and be in action. Some of you guys take a plan like this and you decide that you're going to make it better. You're going to make it different. You're going to modify it. You're going to pick and choose. That's not your job. Your job is to get to work. Point number 4, do nothing but dollar productive activity during the survival mode. A suggestion to you, and I always find a good reason to say this on pretty much every podcast. Write down on a separate sheet of paper the things that make you money in real estate. Lead generation, lead follow-up, pre-qualifying, presenting, negotiating, and closing. Those are the things that actually create profit in your business. Post it on your wall. I suggest you post it on the door out of your office with a little U-turn sign, which is your message to yourself if you're going out the door to do anything that's not on that list, aside obviously from, family things and mission critical stuff. But in the business world, if you're if you're on your way out to do something other than that, take the U-turn and get back to work. So nothing but dollar productive activity. Point number 5 for our rules. Do not spend even more money that you don't have during survival mode. Remember, the reason you're in survival mode is because you're in a financial pinch. Don't just throw something on your credit card buying leads to put a Band-Aid on something and digging your hole even deeper. Next, get an accountability partner to help support you as you work through this. Some of you guys that are Premier Coaching members use my daily coaching call that's live as part of your accountability. You report in what you're working on. You ask questions as you're going through it. That's fine with me. It's part of the reason we do it daily. Rule number 7, commit to working 5 days a week for at least 8 hours daily in real estate. More is okay, but you do not have the luxury of excuses or poor time management anymore. You're in survival mode. You have got to get to work. Rule number 8, do not associate with anyone who is negative starting now. Some people will see you working harder, doing things that you hadn't done in a long time, and be negative with you about that. Oh, I tried that. I tried talking to 2 expireds, and they're just mean people. I don't know why you'd want to list that. Step away from the negativity, okay? Rule number 9, remind yourself daily that this is only temporary and you are taking action. When you have a financial crunch, you've got to remember this is not a new lifestyle for you. It's just a financial hiccup. And if you're not telling yourself that, you're in danger of making it a lifestyle. So cut that out. Rule number 10, ask for help when you need it. Again, daily Premier Coaching call run by me and Coach Rochelle. There's no excuse to not get any help. So those are the rules of the plan, and this might end up being a 2-part podcast. But the plan itself, what is the point of it? What will you get, not if, but when you actually implement these things? And by the way, much of what's on this list, you're going to go, oh, yeah, I know, I should have been doing that all along. This is not like, some kind of new light bulb that's going to go off. It's funny, Tim, you mentioned that when you do this, it can just be your plan. It's because 100% of what's on this list works. None of this is new, being tried out on you, run up the flagpole, see what you guys are going to do with it. No, this is proven by many of your colleagues who have done the survival plan and thrived as a result. So what will you get out of it?
Hey, Julie.
The plan?
Julie,
yes.
So, guys, there's something you need to keep in mind, too. Chances are, if you're listening to this podcast, and tomorrow is evidently, and you're listening to it because you literally need the survival plan because you're destitute or near destitution at this point, chances are you have been somebody, and you need to fess up and just be honest with yourself about this, who's been one of those agents who's been attracted to the novel. You've looked for these pretty shiny things. I looked at my a newsletter I got from Inman the other day, and it was the title of it, and it was basically one of our competing coaching companies put up an article on Inman, an ad actually, which was, like 10 new Snapchat hacks for, just all this bullshit. And it's ridiculous how evidently you guys are so attracted to the novel, how you're so attracted to the passive, how you're so attracted to silly-ass things like that, and you got to be honest with yourself. Why? It's because you don't want to do what you don't want to do it at the highest level. It's because you think, and they're going to stand there, all these folks that are selling you all these whiz-bang tech ideas, they're never going to tell you whether or not it actually does anything to help you make money. They're just going to continue to tell you all these new crazy ideas that you're going to, basically think, oh my gosh, this must be something that I need to do because then I'll have buyers and sellers call me. You are literally being seduced. You're being seduced into poverty. You're being led down a road when you spend your time, well, actually I don't have to tell you that because you're probably listening to this podcast right now saying, hey, Tim, shut up so Julie can get back to her points. And, yes, you're right. I have wasted too much time chasing the novel. I have wasted too much time looking for the easy button. I haven't done what I didn't want to do and I didn't want to do at the highest level. I get that now. now I totally and completely am diehard Harris fans because I understand what you guys are trying to do in the first place is save me from the hardship that I'm experiencing now. So back to Julie.
Yeah, well, all true things. So the plan, assuming you follow it and are serious about it, will create, in many cases more than this, but will create 3 new listings, 3 new buyers, 3 pendings, and 3 closings for you in the next 90 days or less, as long as you implement 100% of the plan. Often our students get immediate results in 30 days or less, so ask for help if you get swamped. It does happen because this is all about massive action. So those of you who are in this survival mode and you're freaking out financially, I want you to just close your eyes for a second and imagine how different your life will be in 90 days or less when you have 3 new listings, 3 new buyers, 3 pendings, and 3 closings. What will that be worth to you? Probably it'll change your life. Hopefully it'll keep you in momentum. So point number 1, because this is something every single one of you can do, make a list of 100 past clients, people in your centers of influence, professional associates, neighbors, and friends. Put it in an organized database. Do not get stuck about what database to use. Do not go on Facebook and take a survey about what CRM everybody likes. Just use Outlook. It's free. Use Google Contacts. You can use an Excel spreadsheet if you need to. Keep it free. Remember, you're not supposed to spend any extra money. Now, if you're already paying for Top Producer or if your brokerage has a CRM set up, just use that. Do not get stuck deciding on that. Remember, the task is to make the list, not to be consternated about where to put it. Okay? Point number 2, why do we have that list? Because you're going to actually speak with 5 people from your list every day, no matter what. Use the simple Past Client Center of Influence script or the Ford script that we presented a few days ago, Family, Occupation, Recreation, Dreams. Both of these can be found by Premier Coaching clients on the website. But when you do this 5 days a week, you'll have spoken with 100% of your list every 30 days. Now remember, these are actual conversations, so you might have to dial 15 times to have 5 real conversations. Ask for referrals, get their email addresses. This alone usually jump-starts your lead generation, but don't ignore the rest of the plan. This is kind of like the icebreaker, getting you back into action. Probably you're going to bang your head on some referrals by just doing this particular point. But again, this is not a standalone plan, this point number 2. This is just to get you going. Point number 3, yep, I'm going to say it, hold open houses every weekend until you have 3 pre-approved or cash buyers with nothing to sell who are motivated and cooperative. So a word to the wise in survival mode, hold your open houses in first-time buyer price ranges. That way you don't have to hassle with the sale of their house to get them to buy as a buyer. Remember, we're trying to get you into quick cash flow. That seems counter to what we always talk about, being a powerful listing agent, but right now you're in find the profit mode, and first-time buyers are going to be faster in most cases.
And Julie,
best open houses are in that price range. Go ahead.
Premier Coaching members, there is a very specific, highly effective open house plan on Premier Coaching. A lot of the nuanced approaches that we take to open houses are novel, that get you actual traffic. Please follow the plan. Don't try to wing it. Don't assume you're going to get the same results that our members get unless you're actually following a specific plan. The type of property, the time of day you hold, the number of signs, the color of the signs, all that sort of drill down stuff is all available to Premier Coaching members. Make sure, Premier Coaching members, you just log into Harris Learning, you download that plan and use it exactly. And you're going to be like a lot of other members on the private Facebook page who say, hey, Julie, I followed the plan and I actually got some great leads.
Hey, it worked.
And remember, guys, your goal when you're doing all this activity is not just be searching like an open house isn't just searching for buyers. An open house is get to know the neighbors and try to a little, inside, advanced knowledge here. Try to hold a new listing open. If it's not yours, then hold somebody else's listing open. If it's not in your brokerage, then hold a listing open from another brokerage. It doesn't matter, with permission, of course. And then you will find that probably 50% of all the people walking in the front door are literally neighbors. So make sure you are using our pre-qual script or you're using our scripts so you can pull out the, when they walk in, say, hey, by the way, which house in the neighborhood are you thinking about selling? That isn't what you start with, but that's after all the usual how do you do's, thanks for coming in. Jump right to it, and you'll find that you're going to be generating out of open houses lots and lots of listing leads. People ask Julie and I to this day, how did we sell 104 houses our first year in real estate when we were in our early 20s in Columbus, Ohio, and what really was not a very good market? And the answer is this type of thing. We were very aggressive with learning how to basically make one opportunity into three, and that's what Julie's trying to educate you guys on now. So an open house is for generating buyers, obviously, maybe to sell the house. But what it's really there for you to do is find listings. Why listings? Why are listings so much better? It's very simple. Well, remember, buyers might also have houses to sell too, so, depending on the price point. But a listing, you're going to get paid when the house sells. You might double in the house, so there's potentially 3 paychecks there. The seller might buy something from you, so that's 4 paychecks just for one listing. You can't do that on a buyer side, can you? Julie?
Exactly. It's funny you mentioned that we do get that question quite a bit. How were we able to sell 104 houses your first year, and many years after that, of course? And I always think back to all those open houses we did, and the for sale by owner door knocking we did, and the expired hunting we did, talking to our center of influence, the letter we sent to our car cleaning and detailing clients. Where do you think the survival plan came from, guys? It's because when we got into real estate, a lot of this, obviously this has been modified and upgraded over the years, but when we got into real estate, I would take a class at Ohio State at about 7:30 in the morning because that's the only time I could fit it in. Then I would work as a Christmas elf in an all-year-round Christmas store retail job for about 8 hours. We would come home, detail a car because the car cleaning and detailing business was thriving then, and then we would go prospect. We would either get ready for our open house, we would follow up on leads, we would door knock FSBOs expireds, and I bet you our first 20 to 30 deals I could tie back to something on this survival plan. I bet I could.
Oh, for sure. Well, the other thing,
we certainly didn't have a marketing budget.
No. Going after for sale by owners for us, this is, again, guys, remember, we are actually unusual in the coaching and training industry that we actually have been there, done that. Julie, we don't need to get into our whole bio, but really the moral of the story here, guys, is momentum creates more momentum. Action creates more action. Sitting around and liking someone's page or putting a bunch of, favicons by somebody's Snapchat post, that's just a waste of time. Going to Google and liking things and thinking that somehow people are going to, bounce back to you and, hey, how about you list my house? It's just a waste of time. You have to see it for what it is. You have to be really willing to do the real work. And then here's the irony of real work. This is the thing that's fascinating to me to this day. So right now we're broadcasting to, I don't even know how many people listen to this show, 160, 150, 170 sometimes. We get close to 200 sometimes on 200,000 people listening, okay? So it's crap ton. And I always have it in the back of my mind that I hope everyone's going to take our suggestions on what to do to make it so that they have fantastic, ends of the year, fantastic first quarter. But I know that's not the case. I'm not naive. I've done coaching and training. Julie and I are in our mid to late 40s, wherever you want to put us, and we've been in the real estate industry for over 25 years, sold real estate for almost 10 years, between 100 and 200 homes per year. And none of what we did was technologically advanced or fancy. What we were willing to do is do what other people weren't willing to do, what they weren't willing to do when they weren't willing to do it at the highest level. So as you're listening to this, as you're getting motivated, as we're giving you this plan, as you're getting excited, as you're telling yourself, shit, I can do that. That's not hard. It's not hard. Real estate's the easiest way in the world to make a ton of money. It just is. There's nothing hard about this. You just have to get off your butt and step away from the keyboard and actually go out and do some work. Julie?
Exactly. So, excuse me. And you were talking about open houses following our plan. I think in Premier Coaching that's called something like don't just sit the open house, monetize it, which also drives the point home. So helping them find it easier. Point number 4, follow up on 100% of your existing leads. New, old, questionable. I don't care what the source was. Call all of them and ask for an appointment if they're not already working with someone and they've got the right motivation. Never, ever end the day from this point forward without following up on 100% of your leads. This includes internet leads, direct referrals, sign calls, ad calls. Again, I don't care where they're coming from. If you're calling them a lead, you need to follow up. Again, as a standalone point, this is something you should live your life by. We talk about 18 relentless lead follow-up rules. That starts with Don't end the day sitting on your leads. For some of you, just doing this and some of you guys, it'll take a week for you to get through all of your different lead sources. And some of them are going to be great. Some of them will be too old. Some of them will have already bought or sold. But you will discover deals to do by just getting better at your lead follow-up. Some of you guys think that you have a lead generation problem, but you don't. Go ahead. Sorry.
So Julie just said something, but she's on this outline. She's not giving you the drill down on it. Again, when you're doing lead follow-up, guys, use scripts. Use our scripts because what they're designed to do, it's a conversational outline. That's what a good script is. It's designed to get you to the desired result. And the way we've designed everything is so that you're basically pulling out the listing leads. We don't want to make it so that you guys ever have to work buyers if you don't want to. Julie and I want all of our coaching, our staff, all of our systems, we want to make buyers optional in your life because buyers are the people, God bless them, but for the most part, they're the things that are there. That's the activity that for the most part is going to result in the most spent time. Whereas it gives you no leverage. It's you, that buyer, the house, the contract. Whereas the listings gives you leverage. Some of you are, waking up to the reality that, hey, I just spent almost an entire year chasing buyers, buying buyer leads, and it sold like maybe half the houses that I thought I was going to sell. And why? Because this buyer changed their mind. This buyer decided to buy new construction and didn't put me on the contract. This buyer decided to wait till next spring. Blah, 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 blah. Because at the end of the day, there's no such thing as a buyer that ever has to buy. There's no such thing that ever as a buyer that has to buy. Remember, I told you that. So even if they present as being the most motivated buyer you've ever met in your life, they never have to buy because they can always rent. They can always stay put. They can just remodel the kitchen. They can add the bedroom if they're having houses to sell and they're thinking about buying. That's the reason that we want you focusing on have-to-sell sellers, because there are lots of examples of sellers that have to sell. So if you have a choice of where you're going to put your efforts, you want to put your efforts towards the group of people that are the most motivated, that ensure that you're going to get a paycheck. Makes sense. It's like common sense, right? See how easy real estate is? And yet, how many of you are wasting time with these folks that don't have to buy? So when Julie is telling you to pre-qualify, you need to use our pre-qualification scripts because they root out the motivation of that person. I'm not saying buyers aren't motivated. What I am telling you is there's a higher probability, especially this time of year, that they're going to flake out on you. As interest rates continue to increase, do you think the buyers are going to become more skittish or less skittish? And yet, no matter what the interest rates do, no matter what the economy does, no matter who's in the White House, no matter, you're always going to have sellers that have to sell. That's the reason you go after listings, because you create leverage. You create freedom from the tyranny of buyers' emotions. So just something to keep in mind. Next point, Julie.
Just saying. Okay. So next point, then I have to go to Premier Coaching Call, is to register with our recommended BPO companies and start doing BPOs for the sake of immediate cash flow. Now, I can just hear them saying, why would I want to do anything for $50? Well, you're thinking about it the wrong way. You've got to change your mindset into BPO cash flow. Remember that 5 BPOs, and if you don't know what that is, that's a broker price opinion. We have an entire section that you get with Premier Coaching. Essentially, it is a paid CMA for those of you who don't know, and I'm not going to elaborate too much on that because you can find out on your own on Premier Coaching. So 5 BPOs per day, 5 days per week will end up giving you $5,000 per month. Again, life-changing stuff. Checks in the mail every day. This is for immediate cash flow with not that much effort. So I'm going to leave that there so I can get over to Premier Coaching and get that all teed up. But, survival plan means you're doing all of these things, not just a couple of them, and seeing how it goes. It's being committed to the plan, working the plan, getting help when you need it. So I will turn the call over to you, Tim, so I can go help my Premier Coaching members.
Your homework from today's podcast is to go to freecoachingcallsforagents.com, freecoachingcallsforagents.com, and jump on a call with one of our new member coaches. Especially, this is for folks that are not in Premier Coaching. If you're not in Premier Coaching, that's where you're going to speak with a new member coach. If you are in Premier Coaching, as thousands of you are, your homework is to download the things that we talked about. Julie and I talked about BPO cash flow. We talked about the buyer pre-qual script, the seller pre-qual script. We talked about the open house plan. Log into Premier Coaching and get those things downloaded, and that is your plan. Don't do what a lot of you have a bad habit of doing, of getting ready to get started and thinking about it forever. Just jump in where it says day one on the plan. Do day one. today. Don't wait till tomorrow. Stop procrastinating. You're procrastinating yourself into a corner that you're not going to be getting out of anytime soon, and that is part of the reason why so many people fail in real estate, because they wait too long to get started. Because when they do get started, they do the things that are easy, that cause them absolutely no discomfort, because they are not yet mature enough business-wise to realize that everything on the other side of doing what you don't want to do when you don't want to do at the highest level is what you want in life. Come on, folks, wake up. So that's your homework. If you're not in Premier Coaching, go to freecoachingcallsforagents.com. If you are in Premier Coaching, go to the website, use the content, attend the class live every day. Premier Coaching semi-private calls happen every day, people. We got your backs. Take action. Have a great day. We'll talk to you on the show tomorrow.
This program has been a presentation by Tim and Julie Harris, Real Estate Coaching. For more information on our real estate coaching and training programs, visit our website at timandjulieharris.com. Remember to tune in weekdays at noon for upcoming shows. And until next time, thank you for listening to Real Estate Coaching Radio with Tim and Julie Harris.